If you like the Tesla stock jump today, click the like button. Here's what's going on. The president just imposed a series of tariffs on goods made in China, 50% on semiconductors and 100% on EVs and 50% on solar panels. So EV tariffs went from 25% to 100%. The tariff rate for lithium-ion batteries from China used in EVs will increase from 7.5% to 25%. And Tesla does use some of these batteries, but it's trying to go away from these batteries. So it really shouldn't have any long-term impact specifically about the batteries, but in the short term, Tesla could end up being caught up in some of these tariffs as well. It remains to be seen what China will do, if anything, about this. To some degree, this also makes Tesla's 4680 batteries more viable, especially because Tesla expects its 4680 battery cells to be cheaper than suppliers by end of year. And now with Chinese batteries getting even more expensive, the 4680 option will be even more attractive. The markets overall are not moving much, but it's great for US EV stocks. For example, Lucid is up 14.8% this morning because of less competition from China. In the US, Chinese competition is going to be non-existent. So it's a great day for Rivian too. On the flip side, these tariffs will delay the clean energy transition, making batteries and EVs more expensive before we have our own domestic supply chain to compete, will result in people choosing gas cars and hybrids. The tariffs will also be applied to other items, for example, rubber, medical, and surgical gloves. I think this one definitely makes sense. I don't think there's much money in that particular industry, but it's an important product, which is likely to have a shortage if something really bad happens again. Ernst writes, Tesla should be impacted the least by the Biden administration's increased tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. It seems like whoever I'm reading online, at first they're thinking about this negatively, but I look at the stock market and everyone is buying more Tesla stock today. This definitely increases tensions between the US and China. For now though, Tesla stock is safe from China tariffs. There's also the story all over the place. Going to be the biggest loser, says Indian American entrepreneur on Musk picking China over India. A few years ago, he exchanged emails with Elon Musk about the risks in China. He warned him they would rob him blind and urged him to consider moving manufacturing to India instead, where he would have dominated the market by now. Well, Tesla is dominating with the Model Y in China, and the Chinese automotive market is almost or more than 5 times that of the Indian market. Tesla can dominate the Indian market a little bit later. 9,800 Teslas were insured in China last week, and that's a little bit below than what was expected. 11,400 was the number that Troy was hoping for. However, looking at the numbers year over year, it's actually not bad. We are basically at the same level. The consensus generally is that we will be down year over year, but compared to the previous quarter, as long as this trend continues, we should be above the previous quarter. There's also no Chinese New Year this quarter, so that makes it easier. Troy anticipates that the deliveries this quarter will be either quite a bit lower than the previous year or a lot lower. Tesla's low financing rate, though, could be quite helpful with boosting deliveries. There's a rumor that states that the subscription rate of FSD after the free trial ends is 2%. Now, Gary Black assumes 6%, and we have seen polls that show 44% people subscribing. Of course, this is a very biased poll. So what's actually going on? Well, there's this credit card data that shows just 2% of Tesla owners with free FSD 30-day trials actually subscribed. If just 2% subscribed after a month, that would be disappointing for Tesla FSD given all the hype. Some polls were predicting take rates of 20% or more. Estimates that Gary Black thought were absurd. The most common estimate I've seen was about 10%, and on the highest end, I've seen up to 20%. But this part is extremely important. The sample size was just 3,500 users out of 1.8 million trials, so could be unrepresentative of the Tesla owner population. Also, we know that this number is actually not going to be accurate. Not 1.8 million trials were started because not everyone started a trial, and many people still didn't have FSD v12. And if some of these people on the free trial are going to be getting 12.4, maybe the conversion rate is going to be substantially better because that version is supposed to be quite a bit better, but we'll see. But then the question is, how did they get these 3,500 people? They said they had the credit card info for them, but how did they reach these 3,500 people. So that's definitely a bit murky right now. Gary guesses that this data has info about what kind of car you drive and whether you were given a free 30-day FSD trial embedded within the data. It then uses AI to extract useful credit card purchase information for marketers. It could have been as simple as 3,500 Tesla owners who paid for an FSD subscription within 30 days after getting a free trial. But then how do these people give their data to this company? We need to dig a bit deeper here. Omar guesses that this data is from email receipt analysis of around 3,000 people, and he thinks that 2% is underestimating what the conversion rate will be 30 days after the free trial ends for everyone. It doesn't match with other polling he's seen. But I think this explanation makes sense, and this reveals why we shouldn't perhaps take it very seriously at all. So this company accessed credit card data from about 3,500 Tesla owners who participated in the free trial and found that only 50 bought or subscribed to FSD after the trial. Here, after digging a bit deeper, I finally found where all of this data is coming from. So we have people starting the free trials, and then of course the trial ends, and then some people subscribe. So first of all, that 3,500 number is not going to be accurate because, as you know, the free trial lasts for 1 month. So if 1 month has not ended yet, how are you going to pay? The data shown here goes until May 5th. Which means we would have to look at April 5th. And on April 5th, they had 2,500 people trying FSD for free. It's not going to change the end result completely, but it does change it. Also, supposedly, Tesla's fleet, 42% of it is still in FSD 11, and people are definitely a lot less likely to subscribe to FSD if they get V11. So keeping in mind that the data set here is not exactly big, it's only 2,500 people that we have data on, and keeping in mind that many of them would have received V11, I don't think this data is incredibly revealing. It does give us some insight, but it's definitely not concrete evidence and proof that the take rate is going to be so low. It certainly could be lower than many people expected, but I would wait a little bit longer. Electric does think that the data set is limited, but 2% sounds about right to them. Despite the recent price cut, it's still a very expensive product and the value is not clear to most people. As I previously stated, I've been impressed by V12, but it doesn't necessarily make it useful. V12 limits the speed in many areas and still makes mistakes. I think that it has value on the highway by reducing your workload and allowing you to focus more on the road, but on city streets it is more stressful than driving without it. I think it depends on which kind of city streets you're driving on. If you are going through multiple difficult intersections and you're driving downtown, yeah, if it's rush hour. But if it's a pretty simple city, not a large city, not downtown, not rush hour, it's pretty good. Therefore, I think most people see themselves better off with autopilot for now. Now, if you watched every single one of my video until the end, you will know that I said, personally, if I wasn't a Tesla stock investor, if I just drove daily, regularly, would I subscribe to Tesla's FSD at this moment right now? By the way, I purchased FSD outright. I wouldn't get the subscription yet, but it's getting close. However, when I drive, especially if I drive alone, I usually drive on FSD. If I drive with someone else in the car, unless I'm driving through really simple roads, I typically disengage it because occasionally it will do something very uncomfortable and it will seriously embarrass me. For example, braking really fast at a yellow light or being indecisive, which lane should I pick? This one or this one, this one or this one? I'm not sure. Maybe this, oh, maybe this one. So I turn it off unless I don't mind embarrassing myself in front of someone else. But by myself, I usually drive with it on.